Hello everybody, welcome back to Sunday Berries. Today we have a fun exercise or painting. It's going to be fun. It's going to be very beginner friendly. It's going to show you what watercolors are all about in terms of transparency and translucency. We are going to be able to see it firsthand with this painting. So grab your brushes, your watercolors, your piece of paper, and let's get started. So we are going to do an undersea painting, or sort of, I guess. So you will need blues. Any type of blues that you have, you can use them right off the pan or mix them together. But you will be needing blues for this one, especially from the lightest to the darkest. The darkest we are going to lay at the bottom of the page and the lightest towards the top. And we will be able to see how the watercolors can be translucent and you can still see through them to the layers below. So let's get started. I have selected to use the Daniel Smith watercolors, and this selection is basically because of their granulation properties that I want to use. I will be using, let's see, Sleeping Beauty, which is the one I was mixing here with other blues from this same collection that I have here. Cerulean Blue, Lunar Blue, and Subtle Light Genuine. You can use any type of color you want. They do not need to actually granulate or anything like that. I want to use the granulation for personal reasons. I haven't done a painting with granulating colors yet, so that's why I'm going to use them, but you can use any blues that you have at hand. The top area we are going to do the lightest, and towards the bottom we're going to be doing in the darkest tones. So try to get your lightest tone first. If you don't have any light colors, all you need to do is work with the values as we learned in the previous video. So all you need to do is add water and lighten the color. So this is like a turquoise color. And what you do is you want to create that little wave. And have your lightest color at the top. And then you start darkening as you go below it. I'm going to mix in a little cerulean blue, which is pretty light, fairly light. There we go. And because this is granulating, I'm trying to add a little extra water so the granulation can show. And as you can see here, we can already start seeing that granulation coming up. Make sure to leave a space between them because we're going to work with that area later on. So we're going to go with the next one. I'm going to use a smaller brush size for the next row. and as dark as you can for the bottom of the sea. And now we're going to leave it to dry and we'll come back for the next step. So we're back and I decided to tape this down to the table because it was curling, but we're going to continue on. This is dry to the touch, so that's enough for me to continue. And what we're going to do is the moment in which we're going to see the transparency and the translucency of watercolors, which is one of the properties that I appreciate the most. We're going to be using the same colors. We're going to go over it because when you add a color, it will add to the one that is below, and the parts that are white are going to stay less dark than the one you're going over. We are not going over the whole thing, only certain areas, and we're going to do it in a curved way as well in order to see the different translucencies happen. I'm going to continue with the same scheme of colors because I think it just makes sense. So here we go. And as you can see already, we can see what happened here is that when you deposit more watercolor on top of another one, it's going to get darker because it's going to add to the layer below, while the layer that was in white or just a paper, it's going to accept the color as it is, as a first layer. Here we go. And let me just catch this area right there. I've never done this before, so I don't know what we're going to be getting. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to allow this to dry again, but already we can see the transparencies here, not so much because of the fact that this is a darker color, but you can still see the difference between them. And this one turned out to be a lot lighter than the one above. As a matter of fact, we should take a moment to just do a darker color right there. And that should give us the depth that we need. Because we are not actually painting the bottom of the ocean, but the layers as we go down into the depth of the ocean. So the closer to the sun, it's lighter, and as we go down, it's going to be darker and darker because it's deeper into the water. So that's the concept here. This is not new. I think a lot of people have done this, so this shouldn't be something that perhaps you haven't seen before. However, we are looking at it through a different magnifying glass, and it's about learning the properties of watercolors and in terms of transparency. And this is the best way to really understand that, how just going through layers, you can still see the layer below and how you are adding on to that layer regardless of what you're doing, but it still retains transparency. You can still see that layer below. It's just a little bit darker. So I find this amazing. We are still going to embellish this painting, and it's going to look good, I hope, if I don't mess up. So I'm looking forward to this one once it's dry. So let's go ahead and allow it to dry, and we'll be back. Okay, so this is dry to the touch. The paper has been curling, but has been staying put as well. So that is good. And what we're going to do now is embellish and finish the piece. I want to keep this very minimal because I have the tendency to just go overboard. With a white Posca pen, let me get this going. Okay. We're going to go over the separating areas very lightly. Yes. Let's leave this area for something different, and let's go here. Actually, let's go back here. Let's continue on. We'll see. Maybe in this area here, we can do a few circles. So what we're trying to do is smaller circles and big circles. Oops. Like little bubbles, if that makes sense. Actually, I do like it. And perhaps here we can do very small lines. here perhaps we could do lines, okay? Just add a few lines. And lastly, perhaps we could do the circles again over here in the lighter one. You could, of course, use gold for this. I wanted to keep it white because it's sort of less visible, I suppose. And to finish, we are going to do some of these little dots here. And I think that is it for me. So let's reveal. The less we lay down, the better it would be. And look at that. I really did enjoy this exercise here, and although we sort of hid the transparencies of these colors with the white lines, the overall aspect of it, it's so uniform, it's so harmonious, and also very nice. So in this instance, what we did here was more soft and simple, but shows you the properties of how watercolors really work when you're stacking them up. So it's quite beautiful. You can see where we had only one layer and where we had 2 layers. So that's quite beautiful, and we didn't do too much to this one. I think it looks absolutely beautiful and delicate, and this is something that you can take to any frame, place it, and it's going to look gorgeous in your house. So do try it. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please take a moment to do so. And with that said, please take care of yourselves. Please stay safe, be kind to one another, and I will see you on the next one. Until then, bye.